Yeah, my lessons are paying off. So I am Asif Mustafa. This is our brand new show called Stay Kind. And tonight, my co-host Michael, Ummi, Rahim, and Fedora will have an amazing guest all the way from Germany. She's not from Germany, she's from the States, but she's going to talk about an amazing initiative that's already in so many countries, so many people. We have to talk to her about that. But before that, people have asked me why the show is called Stay Kind or not Be Kind or something like that. But I've always used that kind of tagline, Stay Kind, because I believe everybody is inherently kind and everybody is already kind, regardless of what they kind of push out to the world. I think you're kind. So I'd like everybody to stay kind and kind of surface that kindness that's already inside of all of you. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I will bring on my co-host first and foremost, Michael Teoh. How are you, Michael?
Hello, Azib. Hello, everyone on LinkedIn. Hi. Good to be here.
We also have Ummi Sada.
Hi, everyone. Assalamualaikum.
Alaikum salam. We have Rahim Osman.
Hi, everybody. Welcome
Hello.
to the platform.
And we do have our Fedora Zulkifli. How are you, Fedora?
Hi, Azif. Hi, everyone on LinkedIn. It's been a while. Thank you for arranging this. Of course, setting this up. Of course, Azif.
You're welcome. And it is
yes.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. It is still Hari Raya Haji, as we say around here. It's Eid al-Adha, this festival of the Hajj, the festival of the sacrifice, and wishing all Muslims, all celebrants out there, Selamat Hari Raya, Eid Mubarak. If you are tuning in, please let me know where you're from. We have a couple of people already on board. We have Liana Ku. Hi, Liana. We do have Noor. Kabar Noor. Dua kali cahaya. We have Fariha. Hey, Fariha, long time. We have our buddy Robert Berry all the way from the States. Hey, Rob. And, that's Restream. Never mind. So, as I said, the first part of the show, we're going to talk about, what you've seen in terms of kindness in your own lives, in your own practice, in your own companies, or something you've seen online, perhaps, that, is interesting for us to share with everybody. Just to get the ball rolling, I'd invite Michael Teoh. Mike, off to you.
Azib, thank you so much, Azib. And hello and good evening. If you're here in Asia, good morning, good afternoon. If you're in other parts of the world, thank you again, Azib. And today we're here to talk about kindness. And I've seen a lot of kind deeds being done online. I've just received a message right here, and it was a random message on LinkedIn, actually, Azib. Someone basically texted me and say that, I've been very blessed to have had a lot of followers on my LinkedIn. Around heading to 15,000 followers now. And this lady said, Michael, they are having this little campaign where people who are out of jobs, who are applying for jobs, they were asking me if I could repost some of these job vacancies on my profile on LinkedIn so that it goes viral a little bit. And then people who are in need of jobs could apply for those jobs. So I'm about to reply to them saying, yes, I'm happy to actually borrow my what little followers I have, heading to 15,000 people on LinkedIn, to actually repost some job opportunities so that perhaps if there are people in my LinkedIn community that are looking for jobs right now, they could apply for it. So that just arrived into my LinkedIn inbox. I'll be doing that tonight itself. So I'm very excited that, hey, it doesn't cost me anything to be reposting messages on my LinkedIn. But the biggest impact here is that once I repost it, people who are in need of job can get a job. People who are in need of people can get people to help them. So I think that's just one of the ways how I plan to give back, especially during this pandemic. No matter where you are in the world, just with the click of a button of a reshare, reposting on LinkedIn, you can start accumulating good deeds, good merits as well. Over to you.
That's what we can do online. It just takes a click. It takes a kind heart, though. So congratulations to you, Michael, for doing that. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Off to Ummi. Ummi, what have you seen or what have you heard?
Thank you, Azif. Recently, I saw a post at LinkedIn by a father of a disabled son, Muhammad Haziq, who was born blind, cannot walk, cannot talk, and with multiple near-death situation. So this father, he is working in BP. He is sharing his journey to raise his disabled son with the help of his mate, which he titled, and he wrote the ebook which is Living with Meaning. And now this ebook is available for you can download at his
A little bit of technical difficulties with Ummi. So it was a story about this kind father who was taking care of his disabled child. And oops, we'll come back to you shortly, Ummi. Maybe as soon as she clears that, maybe we'll go off right now to Rahim. How are you, Rahim?
Good. Could be better, in fact. Thank you, Azif. Yeah, same thing like Umi just now. I saw a post also in the Facebook last night about the same time. So I saw this picture, a friend of mine, in fact, a tennis player, a coach at the same time. He went for a second dose somewhere in WTC center. So he posted about his, his event. But normally people would actually post about, hi, okay, good, I'm done with second dose, But this time he wasn't. He actually posted one picture which intrigued me so much because in that picture, right, there were three people. The first person actually a Malay girl, very young, and then another two ladies, old ladies, Chinese, were sitting one in a normal bench, another one in the wheelchair. What intrigues me is that in that post, he was saying that he could see that this Malay girl who can actually speak Mandarin so well and patiently explain about the procedure of the whole thing, how this process from the start until the end should be done patiently to this very old lady. I think these two ladies basically probably more than 70s, gray hair totally. And I think it's a rare sight that we could actually see someone who can actually speak Mandarin so well, so fluent. And the funny thing was that even my Chinese friend, right, this Chinese friend could not even speak Mandarin.
Yep.
It's a very interesting sight.
Excellent. I actually ran a poll recently on my feed on what languages people would like to learn, and Mandarin was the top choice. Of I think it was over 2,000 people voted, 2,500 people, and interestingly enough, that has become I don't know if it's a lingua franca, not yet because we don't speak it, but it's an important international language. Mandarin is. So great story. Let's go back to, thank you so much, Rahim. Let's go back to Ummi. You're back.
Where was I? Actually, did I say something or I just lost from the beginning?
No, you were saying about this father and trying to raise his son. Yeah.
Okay.
Or his child.
Then he wrote an ebook, and the title is Living with Meaning. And this book that he wrote when he lost his job in 2015. So now he is sharing his journey to raise his disabled son, and everyone can download this ebook. And after we download, we can choose to donate to the Spastic Children Association. So he actually share his journey with the help of his mate, who he said that a leader without a title. And then you can actually donate, and he will channel this donation to the Spastic Children Association. So he said that this is to inspire others to take care of their loved one, regardless any circumstances, to choose for their own meaning from our own difficulties, and to help like us, the readers, the donors, the kind-hearted supporters of children with disability.
Wow.
Yeah. Doesn't you think if we all do this, our world will be a happy planet?
Such a great story. Thank you so much, Umi, for that. And last but definitely not least, Fedora Zulkifli. Hi, Fedora.
Yes, Azif. Yeah, Assalamualaikum again, and hello everyone. I just want to write on what you mentioned, Azif, about stay kind. Why is it stay kind? Where I think this whole concept of everyone has kindness in their hearts, right? Everyone, kita bersangka baik, or in Malay we talk about that. So, I think with that in mind, I think with this whole COVID that's happening, I think I'm going to share a little bit more of a personal story in my last posting, which is a while ago. So it's about I lost a dear uncle and an aunt due to COVID out of sudden, but and after that we've been receiving a lot of stories about my late uncle arwahnya, where suddenly we saw pictures. Even the children didn't know he was donating PPEs to the hospitals. So I mean, why I'm highlighting this is basically there's so many of silent heroes where Michael was sharing about being out there and sharing, but there's also people who are behind the scene who are so kind, who are not even out there but giving their all, or to give back to the society. So there's so many of all these wonderful stories. I think this whole COVID, I think just alluding to this whole COVID situation that we're facing. So as much as there's a lot of pain, but there's also so much of kindness that I see online on the social media. And I just going to add this on this growth academy, the main man, as if we wouldn't be here without him being so abundant and and set I mean being that tribe for all of us. I wouldn't. And now with that, because of that, I'm also potentially, right, Michael, collaborating and all of that. So I just want to say, taking this opportunity to also say thank you to Azif and also the team, everyone in growth for this. This is in itself an epitome of kindness. So yeah, over to you, Azif.
Wow, thank you so much, Fedora. That's so wonderful of you to say that. So kind of you to say that. I try my best. We try and connect. It's this platform that I'm so happy to be part of, LinkedIn, where I find so many kind people. Of course, it's not 100%. Yeah, there are people who have brickbacks and are so negative and have all these comments, but they're the minority, and we kind of feel for them. But hope they have a better outlook. I just wanted to share a little bit of something that I saw. It's not what we've been talking about. This is a bit more financial, but this guy came into this restaurant in New Hampshire, and he bought $37 worth of, I don't know, it was drinks or hot dogs and cheese, and he tagged on a $16,000 tip. So because restaurants are hit really bad because of COVID, he wanted to do something nice for the owner and the bartenders that work there. They call all of their servers bartenders, and basically they got like a 2 to 3 month bonus each because of this one man's generosity, and they don't even know his name. So just putting that out there, that there's all sorts of different types of kindness in the world, and there's so many different ways people can and manifest that kindness, and you don't have to have $16,000 extra in your pocket to give to people. It's like simple things that Fedora was talking about, simple things that Rahim, somebody just translating. It's such a beautiful gesture that helps people, and a father's love, and what Michael was talking about. So there's so much kindness in the world. Alhamdulillah, we thank God for that. And so that was a great round, all of you. Thank you so much for those wonderful, inspiring stories. I'd just like to quickly shout out to everybody in the room. We have people from all over the world. I have a buddy from who was originally from Johor. He's currently in Washington. Patrick Correa. Hey, what's going on, my man? He used to go to school with me. That was too long ago to count. I lost track of the years, but
Baby.
nice to have you on the show, bro. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I'd like to introduce an amazing lady who just a few years ago started a project called Sidewalk Talk, and we want to hear all about this project and see what this is about. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome the one and only Traci. Yay! You are live.
Hey, before we start, can I share a kindness story too?
Please do.
And sing out an unsung hero?
Yeah.
Please do.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we would like
So
to hear.
I'm an expat living in Germany, and I don't have a lot of friends here because I'm new here. And I have a new friend. Her name is Sarah Huang. She's a group facilitator, and I just love her. She's from Hong Kong, but she lives in the Netherlands. And I said, "Oh, I'm really missing having my cat. I miss having a kitty cat because I like cats, as if you know that I like kitty cats." And so she mailed me this in the mail.
Oh.
And sometimes kindness can be really silly. It doesn't have to be super fancy.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Very cute.
It made my day, and she sits here on my desk.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful story. Thank you so much for sharing that, Traci. So back to, you're a licensed psychoanalyst, psychotherapist,
Psychotherapist, yep.
and you're practicing now in Germany?
So I'm practicing with my US clients, and I have some expat clients here in Germany. I don't speak German yet.
So we'll get there. But anyway, you did start this project or this initiative called Sidewalk Talk. Help our guests, co-hosts, and the audience here understand, what is Sidewalk Talk?
So Sidewalk Talk is one of the most simple inventions. It's not trying to be clever. It's not trying to like solve every problem in the world. It's about really just creating healthy community by sitting on public sidewalks and offering to listen to strangers about anything going on in their life. Sometimes it's something really fun and joyful. Sometimes it's something really sad. Sometimes I've listened to people on their way to a first date. I mean, it's the whole range. But for me, I hold it as a chance to get better as a human at being kind, because when I learn to listen to all different kinds of people that are usually really different than me, I become a kinder person. And it's also a way to make our communities feel kinder, because we're better at connecting with one another without judging people, you know?
Wow. What was the impetus? How did this start?
So two things. One, for me in the US, there was an uptick in gun violence in 2015. And I just was like, what is wrong with our society? Like, we're so awful to each other. And I didn't want to like read a bunch of theory. I wanted to just hear from the people. So for me, that was my way of being active, kind of like what you did recently, Azif. I just want to hear from people different than me. And so I just decided to do it one time with 26 colleagues, and then it grew from there. I was going to do it one time. It's just kind of it was my way of protesting, you know, violence in our society. And then all of a sudden, lots of people wanted to keep it going.
Wow. I'll open up to any of our co-hosts who would like to ask a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe I'll
No
start.
pressure.
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Fedora.
Yeah, Traci, I think you were mentioning about that it's all about relationship, right? When you talk about this whole listening, this whole concept with sidewalk is connecting to people. So where does trust come into play? Because when you talk about it, we are all storytellers pretty much. So where did you see people are more open when they talk to strangers versus they're more guarded when or versus because of that there is that boundary of trust. So that is my first question. Or do I just throw I have a couple of questions actually.
Okay. I'm going to better get out my pen then, so I don't forget any of them. Okay. Trust. Got it.
Yeah. So and at the same time, listening. I mean, we talk about listening as a skill now, right? At organizations, we talk about this listening skills. There's lack of it, or typically the trend is there's lack of. So I'm a mother of 5-year-old and 6-year-old. So what would you recommend in terms of how do we nurture this listening skills, right? I perhaps it needs to start from the young. I typically we talk about skills. That's how you nurture. So yeah, that would be my 2 questions for you, Traci.
Yeah,
Love
great questions. So trust is an interesting thing, and it's also a byproduct of Sidewalk Talk, because one of the things that creates healthy societies is when we have social trust.
Yeah.
Meaning that we trust in the good hearts of one another.
Yeah.
And by sitting on sidewalks, you come in contact with a stranger that you might have been suspicious of and realize, wow, this is a really good person.
Right.
And so just by the act of sitting on a sidewalk listening to strangers, it actually builds more trust in communities. So I walk down the street now and I feel a lot safer than I used to before Sidewalk Talk, because I have more trust in humanity, right? And we actually overestimate the lack of safety with strangers. We over-index towards them being dangerous, and they're actually just like us. And so I see Sidewalk Talk as my spiritual practice in a way of changing my own heart to be more trusting. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think makes sense. Because by listening, by opening up, you kind of understand more, right? It's building your own understanding by opening up. I mean, it starts from you, I suppose, right? The one that's listening. That's why I think.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. I had this woman in San Francisco come sit in my chair, and she had food on her clothes and her hair was all messed up. And I immediately made this assumption that either she was poor or she was homeless because of how she presented, right? She was neither of those. She just had a really good muffin before she came and sat down. And she had a really long bus ride. And she proceeded to tell me that she's a competitive chess player,
right?
That her daughter is a famous scientist. And here I was making up all these stories about this human that I had no information about. And shame on me.
Yeah.
And then I'm the better for it, because then I leave that interaction going, oh my gosh, every human being has this amazing story inside of them. And I should take the time to listen, because I get to be a part of this beautiful story of this woman who's a competitive chess player, Yeah. I mean, it was. And all these people still stay in. And, Fedora, every one of these people still leaves an imprint on my heart to this day.
Sure. I'm sure, Ralph. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So as far as learning listening, so I actually, we started teaching people about listening. When I was in graduate school, a lot of people teach you about repeating back what you heard and mirroring. But what I've learned is really that there are some blocks to our listening, right? And so especially when you have a 5 and 6 year old, when my kids were 5 and 6, I was completely overwhelmed. It was just too much electricity in the house. It was like, oh my gosh, they're moving around. Oh my gosh, are they going to get hurt? And so I actually hold listening as a value,
right? Not
just a skill.
Right.
Which means that I hold it as,
I shall write it down. Yes.
I let myself make lots of mistakes in the skill of listening.
Yeah.
But I always hold the value of listening in my heart, which is ultimately about receiving the story of another human being.
Right.
And I try to walk around the planet really deeply wanting to know people, including my kids. It's not always easy with those that we're the closest to, because we already have all these assumptions about them.
Right.
But my number one trick for me are two things with people that I'm close to. One, I have to calm my nervous system down, because especially with little kids, they're so high energy that sometimes they overwhelm me. So I do this little imaginary thing. Are you ready? I pretend like I have a hula hoop around me, and that's my energy. And they don't come inside my energy. And I put stuff in there that's cozy, kittens. I like kitties. So that whatever screaming or loudness or loud toys or banging on pots that they're doing, I'm still cozy in here.
Right.
So that's the first thing. I have to stay calm and cozy, or I'll be kind of judgy and maybe a little mean when I'm listening to my kids. The second thing, though, when that's hard to do, I don't know, Fedora, do you ever spend time with other people's children?
Oh yeah, we have a lot. I have nephews.
Do you ever notice that you're kind of nicer to other people's kids than your own?
Yeah, especially when
Like,
it comes.
suddenly the best mom in you comes out because it's somebody else's kids, and you feel like, well, I better be like really on point with this person. So sometimes when my kids are really driving me nuts, I pretend like they're somebody else's children.
That's a great tip.
I know it's weird, but then I'm just
I'm writing down. I'm taking notes.
That's a great tip. And I will call upon the newlywed, Michael Teoh. Maybe he has a reaction to that. What do you say, Mike?
I'm loving what I hear again, Traci. It's amazing. That's good for me to know. I just got married this year. Happily married. I love my wife. She's a banker. So I would definitely keep that in mind. Traci, I have a question for you. Moving from kids, let's think about in the bigger context of society. So yes. I love what you're doing, Sidewalk Talks. What is the end goal that you want to achieve with this? Like, are you trying to create a movement? Are you trying to create a TED Talk? What are you trying to achieve from this? So that's number one. Number two, my second question is, you have come from the United States. You are right there now in Germany. Oftentimes, these are societies that people see as more open-minded, where in Hofstede's model of cultural difference, these societies that you are based on, they have lower power distance. So when you have lower power distance, people are more willing to share. However, having said that though, how would you advise companies, organizations here in Asia, or right now here in Malaysia, how could we break the ice? How do we create a culture of them adopting your Sidewalk Talk in their own companies, where regardless of whether they are the boss, they are the janitor, they are the intern, or they are the top sales performer, they're all still able to talk? So those would be my two questions for you, Traci.
Great questions, and spoken like a true business person, right? Especially the end goal one. So I'm going to say something a little unconventional. Well, I think I'm just unconventional. Don't trust the blonde hair and the red lipstick. I'm a weirdo, just like Azif, which is why he has me on here. I have let go of needing there to be an end goal. I realize that there's a lot about capitalism that always says there has to be some big end goal.
Right.
And I've chosen to take this up as a practice for my own heart. Right. And I've chosen to trust that it grows as it's meant to grow. The one thing that right now we're choosing not to do is we haven't actually taken big corporate dollars. We fund the project by training people and listening and charging for that training.
Right.
But the minute you start getting grants and you get corporate money, then that corporation or those grants start to influence how you run your organization. And we really want to empower chapter leaders to run their chapter however they want, because we do have cross-cultural chapter leaders and they all do slightly different things. So we want to free them up from having to do it in a particular way. Right.
Nice.
And it feels like it is good for my heart to step outside of that capitalist lens that says there has to be a big end goal. It's hard for me. I used to sell software. I know how to do the big end goal. But I'm working on letting that go and treating it as, what does it mean to be in flow? What does it mean to be in love? What does it mean to be led by love? And to let that dictate the end goal. So maybe the end goal is just love, Michael.
Excellent. Fantastic.
So weird.
Talking about love,
that
right?
is great. That is wonderful. Thanks so much, Mike, for that. Just a quick shout out, Michael, 10 years ago, won this competition, won your big trip. Was it one big trip?
It's called
One Young World. Your big year.
That's
so
right.
He won out of 45,000 applicants around the world. He won it, and they sent him around the world, and he met everyone. So that was an amazing. That's when I first met him.
You're a listener already.
10 years ago. He's already definitely.
Yes, he is.
I mean, thank you, Azib. Just to share with Traci, so it was this competition, 45,000 people, and then the grand prize was a 1-year all expense paid for trip to go around the world.
Wow.
But what was really powerful was that I was deployed to 22 countries, and in every country I was in, I was working with communities in developing nations. So I was in Colombia building homes for those that were coming out from the interiors of the Amazon into the city to look for jobs. And because they don't have a home, they don't have a house, a roof above their head, I'll be there building those houses for them. I was in Mozambique in a sanitization project, teaching children there in the rural villages on even how to wash hands properly, how to brush their teeth. So I was doing things like that. And this was a competition where they recognize what they call a global youth icon. I was expecting to be treated like a VIP, going to the United Nations to give talks, walking on red carpets, being chauffeured around. I didn't get any of that, Traci. In fact, I got the kindness treatment. In every country I was in, I would be living with a host family. I remember when I was in Guatemala, I was living with a family that reared horses. And honestly, it stunk. But I lived there for 2 weeks. But I fell in love with the family. They treated me so well. They kept apologizing every day. Rearing horses were their livelihood. I know they poo a lot, so it smells in the entire house. But it built empathy. And, back to your project, Traci, it allowed me to listen. And when I listen and when I see how they live their lives and how despite those difficult times they were going through, they could still shower love to me, it opened my heart up. And I think that's why, Azib wanted to bring that up. So I have 22 stories from 22 countries from that 1 year. And of course, it was amazing meeting Sir Richard Branson, who appeared to be the mentor for that competition and ultimately selected the winner out of the 45,000 people. So it was really a blessed year for me, I must say.
Wow. So you got any advice for me?
No advice, but I just want to share with you that a lot of admiration. I believe, grow your project. I hope one day you do spread your influence. Speak at a TED platform. I used to organize TEDx here in Malaysia. So I'm pretty sure one day your project is so important, especially after this pandemic, you're going to reach out to a lot of people. And hopefully you get to speak on the TED platform, get it recognized, and that would help me too. Because if one day I want to implement Sidewalk Talk in corporations here in Malaysia, I could say, hey, Traci Ruble, check her out. Look at her global profile.
Well, I'm going to make your day, Michael, because October 9th, I will be speaking at TEDx Castle.
Azib, I know a talent when I see one. You see?
No pressure. I'm not feeling any pressure now, Michael. Oh my God, following in your footsteps.
Wow,
well,
that is amazing. But when Traci started, actually, the video that I shared was viewed 10 million times?
10 million times.
So that's just crazy. That's amazing. And because of that, so much interest was gained, and obviously many chapters were open all around the world. But before we get into that, maybe let's go quickly to Rahim first. Rahim, do you have any questions for Traci?
Yeah, specific to the current situation, right? I think everybody around the world is facing this pandemic. I'm sure this Sidewalk Talk, I'm sure you already experienced it somewhere, that you know how you relate to those people who are affected by this situation, be it the people on the street, or in the US, of course, they say homeless people. And over here, of course, some of the listeners, the fresh graduates, for example, that they are seeking for jobs, they found it very difficult to get jobs. So what is or what are your advice, to these people, through your experience, right, to overcome this current situation? Then the end result, of course, they get something positive out of this situation.
Yeah. Well, you're giving me a lot of, I'll just give you my life experience because I don't think I'm wise enough to have advice. But I will say this, we're all in our homes a lot, right? Our lives have changed. The people that we're used to seeing day to day had a much bigger impact on our mental health than we realize. So even if you stopped and had lunch and got a sandwich at the same place, or if you were used to dropping by a coworker's office, all of these little small interactions contribute to our well-being. And so we've got this uptick in stress, and yet we've got less human connection that usually helps us modulate and manage that stress. And those two things going together is not good for us. And I myself, I told Azif when he invited me on the show, I said, I've been kind of low because I really had a bad case of the lonelies 2 weeks ago. And I was really struggling because I like to be in connection. So what I had to do and what I advise other folks to do is to not minimize your need for connection, even though it's harder to get right now. So I don't care if you have to have a weekly Zoom call with 5 friends. It's good to have an anchor connection call, meaning one that you can count on every week, right? And you can make it fun, not so focused just on problems, by having a provocative question like, what scares you the most? Or what's an experience in your life that changed the course of your life? So are these philosophical kinds of questions.
Right.
At the beginning of the pandemic, because play is a core value of mine, I got my friends together and we did Zoom karaoke.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea to release the tension, right?
It releases the tension. As far as the other, I don't have big solutions for the other challenges, but I will say that, we undervalue how much the things that you guys are doing, which is acts of kindness. When you're kind to somebody else, it actually is good for your own mental health. Right. And then second, I find that a lot of really kind people are really poor at receiving kindness from others. So also get better at receiving kindness. When somebody is caring about you, stop for a second, go, and savor it a little bit longer than you normally would, because we usually will scoot on by it because it's a little uncomfortable and vulnerable to have somebody be so sweet to us. But we should really drink it in every cell of your body, because that can carry you through the day, and it reduces inflammation in the body. It helps us, change our frame of mind. So those are free and easy things to do.
Yeah, I do agree with you. For example, now, because I know in the state life is almost like normal now. I'm not sure in Germany how it is currently. Is it similar to the US or not?
For the kids, for the wild kids. I mean, we just opened up restaurants like a week and a half ago, but people are still wearing masks.
Right.
It's not quite the same openness that you'll see in the US or like the Netherlands, for example. You guys are still on lockdown, right, Rahim?
Yeah, very much. This part of the world, things are still very bad. So
Okay.
I do agree with you, having this session via video call, video conference, where everybody, there should be an anchor, just like Azif now doing that to all of us today. But another aspect that I would like to probably seek your opinion. For me, I think one way to reduce to make it more effective in terms of the interaction, right? Making sure that everybody involved in this video conferencing should actually display their face, get the video on, because most of the time people are simply just put a name, not appear. So I think it's good to actually appear so that you can see these people, just like we are talking now. I can see your face, I can see your expression, and same goes to others. So I think it's good to have the video on, in my opinion.
Well, I might suggest a small tweak to that.
Yeah.
I would have periods where everybody has their video on and periods where everybody has their video off. You think about how popular Clubhouse has become. There's no video on Clubhouse. That we actually will attune a lot more through our ears when you remove that visual sound. Mm-hmm. Also, when we have the visual stimulation, I mean, I'm doing online therapy all day, every day. I almost forget I have a body because everything is 2D and my whole focus is coming out at the screen. And what happens when you turn off the screen is you can suddenly feel your 3-dimensional body in 3-dimensional space, and you might find the connection to be a little different. So I think it's really fun to do both in a Zoom call.
I see.
To do both.
From your experience,
it's also really fun. You know what we did the other day in a training I did? I had us keep all our cameras on and we didn't speak. I said, I want you to listen by being silent. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, I just want you to hold eye contact through Zoom. And they're like, this is really weird. But then
That
they
is
got
weird.
I'm a weirdo. I told you.
All right. Thank you so much, Rahim. And last but definitely not least, Ummi Saada. How are you, Ummi? You have a question for Traci?
Hi, Traci. I want to
Hi.
ask, now we are busy building our career. We always lack of time. We have so many things to manage. We have to achieve a lot in a day. So we are all having our own problem. We have no time to listen. So what is your advice that we actually need to listen when we have to listen to someone else to cool down, to actually not being affected emotionally? Because we have our own problem, then at the same time we have to listen to others.
Yeah. So you're talking about what's called emotional contagion, which means that you catch the emotional flu from somebody else. And what you want to do is you want to not listen unless you can really be present, because the minute that you're offering listening when it's not at your choice is when you're the most likely to catch the emotional flu from someone. Okay. So I'll give you an example. I had a friend of mine call me one day. This wasn't recently because I'm not driving right now, but he said, "Hey, I'm really having a hard time. Can you make some space for me?" And I had my two kids in the back seat screaming in their car seats, right? I was super annoyed and stressed out, and my friend is calling me because he wants some emotional support. And I had to say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be a very good listener to you right now.
Oh, okay.
Can we schedule some time tomorrow? And when you actually set aside time with really clear intentionality, right? With your hula hoop, like I was saying to Fedora, with your coziness on the inside, with non-judgment, with time. The other thing I will do is I'll say to somebody, hey, I do have the energy to hold space, but I only have 10 minutes in terms of time. So I will let them know up front how much time I have so that they edit their story down to fit into that time, right? And then I can relax into the listening because I know that I don't have to cut them off because I've already told them how much time I have to listen to them, okay? And then even if I do have to cut them off, they're not feeling uncomfortable about it because I already prepared them for that. But, you know, I don't know how to say this to you, Ummi, but we do need to slow down too. I mean, what's happened is we've all become machines instead of people. And it's not good for us. You know, you can go spend lots of time with a therapist and treat your mental health, but I kind of secretly, I got to be honest with you, Ummi, I maybe want to put therapists out of business. And if we all slowed down and stopped acting like machines and started acting like people with one another again, you know, we wouldn't be feeling so yucky more of the time.
It is very good advice. I really
It's
need.
hard to do, I know.
Yeah.
But it's like everything in our culture sends us this message that if we're not doing all the time, what is our worth as a person? And I know sometimes, you know, when my family doesn't have a lot of money, I don't have that choice. I have to do more. But when I work with couples, for example, I say, you've got to squish connection into every crack of the brick of the house, wherever you can find it. So always greet each other when you come home from work. Always find each other and greet each other every time. Whoever's in the nest needs to go to the person that's coming to the nest and say, welcome home. Takes 2 seconds to do that, but that already matters. Sometimes a huge thing that matters, you can text a friend and say, I don't have time to talk, but you're on my mind. That's huge. Takes 2 seconds. Azif is good at doing that. I think you guys know that. He does that with me sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes like, especially recently, I talked to my daughter, and he suddenly said that she wants to be a dancer. Like I have to cool myself because no, you cannot. I want to say you cannot be a dancer in this pandemic situation. You can't earn anything because one thing is free entertainment at TikTok now. So I have challenge in release because they have their own opinion. So yes.
How old is your son?
My daughter is 13.
Oh, it's your daughter. Oh, she wants
Yeah.
to be a professional dancer.
Yeah, I think
Well, that might change.
she watched a lot of Blackpink, I think.
Yeah, and Ummi is speaking like the true head of finance that she is right now.
Yeah. That's and I have the difficulties when I have to talk to my subordinates in office, because I am a task-oriented person. That yes, you know, in finance we have sometimes cannot tolerate about the deadlines, but because of the department full with ladies, so I have a lot of wonderful personality to work with, to handle. So with their problem with
Do you manage all these people, Ummi? Are you the boss?
yeah, I'm the head of finance. So
can I just bow to you right now, because people that manage people are my heroes. I mean, you're holding a lot, because they all want you to listen to their stories. You're kind of like their second mother in a way.
yeah, I have 30. I have 30.
You have 30 staff members?
Yeah, and 80%, I think 90% are ladies. Crazy, right?
I have an idea. Can I brainstorm with you? I don't know if it's the right answer, but that you should support them without you. You can come in every once in a while to have their own listening circle where they listen to each other.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they have their own colleague of like gossip here, gossip here.
Oh, gossip.
But that's the issue when because when things really need to get done, it has to be done. So I have to reduce the time spent to actually talk to them, to justify why we need this, We just need to get it done. That's the challenge.
Well, I'm a big fan of, because I'm a kind of an ADD. You would hate to have me as an employee. I'm just going to tell you that right now, Ummi. I would be your worst nightmare as an employee. But I do use something called the PREMAC principle, which is I will give myself, and you have the, what are those timers called? Michael, I know you know this, the Pomodoro timers. So I will set a timer for myself and then reward myself. If I keep my butt in my chair and get my work done, I literally will have one on my computer. My son has one. And then I can chit chat after I just say 30 minutes of focused energy. And then sometimes I'll give myself a gummy bear, or 1 hour of focused energy. And then I can call a friend. So sometimes, and maybe there's something like that. Hey, staff, let's get these 3 things done, and then we'll go to lunch, or I don't know. But I just feel for you. I don't have solutions. I just think that is incredibly, I just think you're my hero.
Well, that's just wonderful sharing and wonderful questions from all of you. We do have some questions from the audience. Somebody was asking, now with the pandemic, do people still sit on sidewalks and listen?
Started to in the US. Yeah, it's had a big impact on our project, as a matter of fact. We started listening online, but listening online is not the same as coming across a random stranger, because you have to schedule it ahead of time. And then sometimes you're meeting the same people over and over again. But I was out in Heidelberg 3 weeks ago, giving out popsicles to welcome people back. I highly recommend, when things do open up in Malaysia, you find something fun, give out heart stickers or something once, just to say, welcome back, I see you. So yeah, it has impacted our project, and we chapter leaders decide if they feel safe to do it.
Wow.
We don't mandate it. They decide.
I mean, that's a great idea for this group. My little group here, we have a couple more people who are not on tonight, but we'll definitely do something like that. Right, guys? Well, let's go out and greet people when they come back.
Yeah,
it's so fun if you give out little heart stickers, because people will be walking all over the place with little hearts on their lapel, and you're like, oh, It's cute.
That's cute. That is. So after, how many countries is Sidewalk Talk in now,
So
Traci?
14 countries.
Wow.
I think we've had 90 chapters. That's changing because some chapters have left since the pandemic, and it's volunteer led. So somebody will start a chapter and lead for 2 years, and then new chapters enter and old chapters leave, and it's always changing all the time.
Yeah. And you do have a chapter in Malaysia.
We have a big chapter in Malaysia through Segi University.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
We'll definitely get in touch. I want to be the little bit of the corporate guy now. So how does this help companies? Like we have 3,500 people around the country in little small towns, some of them. How does this or the stuff that you've learned over these few years help us as a company?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I just did a training for an international company. And what it does is it creates there's this HR term called employee engagement, and when employees don't feel engaged, they don't do their work. They often feel even lonely at work, right? And what's interesting, and I took a team from SAP out, for example, to the Sidewalk. I also took a big group of people from Google out to the Sidewalk. And they didn't even listen to each other. They were just leading the chapter, sitting on the sidewalk, but they felt so connected to their other colleagues because they were serving the community together. It was really interesting. It wasn't that they were doing the listening to each other. So this goes back to the question of yours, Michael, that I didn't answer. You said, hey, how do we handle this positional power thing that's different in Western culture from my culture? I don't know that it necessarily has to be about listening to other staff members. I think it's about getting your employees visible in the community, going out and serving the community side by side. And then you start to feel more connected to your boss when you saw him handing a heart sticker to a 5-year-old girl, right? You suddenly, and when you're creating a connection with your boss or coworkers beyond just making money, but doing good, it just suddenly makes you super excited to go to work every day. 'Cause you're like, oh, these are good people. Like, we like to help people. I think it's good for companies to be visible in their communities too. So one of the things we just did at Sidewalk Talk is we let you name your chapter. So it could be Sidewalk Talk, Celcom, Kuala Lumpur. So we allow you to attach a company name to your chapter. So we model all of our chapter leadership off of TEDx, ironically, Michael. So it's very similar setup, but you can put your company name in your chapter name. And I think it's good because a lot of times a company will come in, buy real estate in a community, but they don't really know the people that live around their office building. And to me, this matches my values that we're all equals. And you can't just come in as a big corporation and not know the people on the land where your office is. So does that answer your question, Azif?
Beautifully. Thank you so much for that.
That answered mine too. Thank you, Traci. Amazing. Amazing.
I remembered it, Michael. I was listening.
She was listening.
Yes.
And I remember you were saying from a previous conversation we had was that listening isn't, you don't do listening, you be listening.
Yeah.
So what's your advice to all of us and all of our viewers? Perhaps this is maybe your last bit of sharing on, how do we be listening?
Yeah.
How can we listen?
So I'm going to pick on you again, Ummi. And I'll join you because I'm a busy woman just like you, right? But we're all so busy doing all the time. But to listen is receptivity. It's really, when you have a dinner party at your house and it's somebody that you really, really love, you usually spend some time making something nice and setting the table, cleaning up your house a little bit, right? It's almost like we're preparing our whole body in that same way. We're preparing our whole body with that same reverence for this other human being. Do you get why we don't listen though? Because we don't walk around the world preparing ourselves in that way. We don't actually walk around saying, I want to host you in how I show up. I want to have utter reverence for your humanity. If we all walked around the world with utter reverence for one another's humanity, we could put mental health people out of business, I think, or at least more so. So that's my answer.
Instead of doing to-do list, we start to do our to-be list.
It's like really an open-heartedness. And you'll love this, though. We have to start with ourselves. And if you're really, really busy and you can't get out and connect, don't forget that you've got to be kind to yourself first. If you're not, then all the kindness and listening that you put out into the world is performative. It's not really authentic. It'll wear you out. It might make you resentful.
Yeah.
So listen to yourself every day and go, did I take care of myself today? Did I cherish myself today? And you don't need to go buy something or get a massage to cherish yourself. It can literally be, did I go outside for a walk? Did I listen to the birds? Did I notice that my kid's smile is just the best thing on the planet? Did I notice that sauce that my partner made for the rice was like the best sauce ever? All those things matter.
It's about mindfulness, right, Traci?
Oh, good word.
Yeah, I hear you.
Wonderful, wonderful. So unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we are just about running out of time. That's part of my job. Sometimes it's pleasurable because we get to get out of here, but tonight is definitely something that I dread. I don't want this to end. It's such a beautiful conversation. Yeah, but since you mentioned it, and just a couple of minutes ago, my son, he's 13 years old. He has some developmental challenges. I guess what they call, he has Asperger's. He's on the spectrum, but he made a pitch for a new product that he wanted to develop, which is called Block and Swear, because he keeps getting into trouble for watching videos that have swear words in them. So he said, we'll develop an app that anyone can use and we'll charge $1 a month. So he has a pricing structure already. We'll charge $1 a month, and any parent can install that on their children's devices, and they can watch any video they want because there's the swear words will be bleeped out by either a man screaming, a cow's moo, a bicycle. So he has this all laid out. And he walked up, he said, can you please tell your audience that we need partners for Block and Swear? So there he goes. I have fulfilled my duty as a dad tonight. So that's
Steve Jobs.
Yeah. So I'd like just to go around the room very quickly. Let's start with you, Rahim. Say goodbye to everyone, and maybe one thing that you treasure from our conversation tonight.
Yeah.
A quick one. I think it was, of course, it is a very valuable lesson that we got today. I think being a good listener is one of the most important elements of traits that we must carry. It is, we need to practice more in terms of how to make it more real in our life. Yeah.
Thanks, Rahim. Off to you, Fedora.
Well, yeah, I took notes. It was serious. But yeah, thank you so much, Traci. I think thank you for this opportunity to be connected. So many. I think simple things that you mentioned about. I want to host you, being mindful, being present, and intentionality, like you mentioned, intentionality of listening. So, there's a lot of like I said, this amazing takeaways, and it's about. It's not regardless where you are corporate or it's a lifelong skill. It's a lifelong values. I use the word values now, not skills. So I love that. Thank you so much, Traci. And thank you everyone for joining us also.
Great. How about you, Mike?
Traci, it's been amazing speaking to you. I'm so inspired. I would definitely be looking forward to your TEDx talk. And I believe whatever you're doing is groundbreaking because you are shaping the culture, especially I believe here in Malaysia, where leaders tend to be portrayed as someone strong, someone who does not know the word weak or wouldn't want to appear weak. But I think by having this Sidewalk Talk project, you're showing the world that, hey, being strong, being brave, it's good, but it's also okay to be vulnerable, because at the end of the day, even the strongest would sometimes fall as well, and they need to pick themselves up. So lastly, echoing the words of Bruce Wayne's father, Batman's father, said to him, he said, Bruce, why do we fall? And Bruce Wayne, being a little kid, he fell into the well, Traci, at that time. Bruce Wayne said, I don't know. And the father just said, we fall so that we can learn how to pick ourselves up. So I believe your story of Sidewalk Talk, it's the best representation for that. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to be a great listener, because that's the way forward of a kinder leader. Thank you again, Traci. God bless you.
Nice one. And last but not least, Ummi Saada.
Thank you so much, Traci. Thank you so much, guys. I learned a lot today, and most importantly, I learned to slow down, give opportunities to ourselves to self-reflect, to enjoy the moment of the present. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much for that. And, I am going to have more conversations with Traci. She has said that she's there for me. I'm here for you as well. We can always connect. And one of the key takeaways I have had tonight is that it takes a couple of seconds to connect with someone and to give of yourself, and, just be present and, connect with as many people as we can in an authentic way. So I love that. Thank you so much, Traci, for being on our show. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much. All the audience members from around the world who are here tonight, take care, everyone. Please connect to all of us. Connect to Traci, connect to everyone on the panel, and we'd love to hear from you. Thank you for all the comments there, and we will try and respond as we can. So I got to call it a night. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Bye.
Stay kind.
Bye.
Bye.
Be safe.
Be safe.